You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. The president of Cambodia's National Assembly, Khuôn Sotari, left for Vietnam yesterday on her first official foreign visit after taking office in August. Upon arriving in Hanoi, she was greeted at her hotel by Nguyen Doc Hai, vice president of Vietnam's National Assembly and chairman of the Vietnam-Cambodia National Assembly Friendship Group. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has more.
Nguyen Doc Hai said that the visit will contribute to the strengthening and deepening of the friendship and cooperation between the two countries, both in the legislative and the executive branches. He urged Khuôn Sotari to continue to build relations between the two parliaments with more exchange visits for officials, more interaction between young members of parliament, and more active participation in the Vietnam-Cambodia Friendship Group. Khuôn Sotari supported his ideas and praised Vietnam's rapid progress under the leadership of the party and the state. The National Assembly President reminded the Vietnamese MPs of the good relations between Cambodia and Vietnam established by the late King Norodom Sihanouk and the President Ho Chi Minh under the difficult circumstances in the 1950s. She noted that the leaders stood shoulder to shoulder to end the war, unite their countries, and gain independence. She emphasised the importance of mutual trust and understanding, which has enabled long-standing good relations and brought benefits to the peace and development of both countries. The President will be in Vietnam until December 2nd, where she will depart with a high-level delegation to Laos to meet with key leaders and attend the Cambodian-Laos-Vietnam Parliamentary Summit from December 4th to the 7th. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. In its mission to make Cambodia a high-income country by 2050, the government is as invested in development as ever. Its new Pentagon strategy provides a roadmap for the direction the country will take under Prime Minister Hun Manet. Today, the Prime Minister met with his Council of Ministers to discuss the roles health and education will play in Cambodia's development. Speaking to his council, Prime Minister Hun Manet highlighted that people are an important economic and social asset that cannot be overlooked. He said that his administration will prioritize their health and education as a way to build human capital for a robust economy. For this reason, the government has identified education and health as priority areas to address the challenges that have hindered Cambodia in the past. He hopes that creating a healthy, well-educated, and moral public will help fulfill the kingdom's vision of becoming a high-income country by 2050. Education Minister Hangtua Naron and Health Minister Chien Ra also contributed to the discussion. The government aims to upgrade the current low-middle-income country to a high-middle-income country by 2030 and become a high-income country by 2050. To this end, the government has identified a number of key policy areas, including human resource development, health, agriculture, and social affairs. Cambodia is currently a low-middle-income country, which, according to the World Bank, means that the average annual income of a person is between $1,036 and $4,045. By 2030, Cambodia aims to bring the average income to between $4,000 and $12,500 per year. If it achieves its vision, the average income will be about $12,500 a year or more by 2050. Kristen Winters, EAC News. You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. U.S. Ambassador W. Patrick Murphy and Minister of Culture and Fine Arts, Boong Sakuna, presided over a signing ceremony today to grant another $450,000 towards preserving the 10th century Phnom Bakhang Temple in the Angkor Archaeological Park. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has the details.
Since 2004, the U.S. Department of State Ambassadors Fund for Cultural Preservation, or AFCP, has provided 8 grants totaling $4 million to the World Monuments Fund for the ongoing restoration and conservation of Phnom Bakhang. Ambassador Murphy noted that this was the largest AFCP grant awarded in the East Asia Pacific region this year. He emphasised that Phnom Bakhang Temple is a cultural treasure and also a top designation in Cambodia to experience awe-inspiring Angkor sunsets. Over the past 20 years, the United States has supported a wide range of projects in Phnom Penh Temple, including foundation repairs, stone conservation, waterproofing system installation, and the assemblies of the walls and terraces. The last grant will continue these efforts, and like previous grants in this series, it would also enable the WMF to train and employ local Cambodians to take part in this and other culture heritage restoration effects. The AFCP was established to help preserve significant culture heritage sites around the world. Their grants have provided $6 million to Cambodia since 2001 to help the kingdom preserve its ancient culture heritage, including the UNESCO World Heritage Site at Previer Temple, among other important locations. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. As schools across the country began the 2023 through 24 school year today, Prime Minister Hun Manet announced the launch of a Clean School campaign and the inclusion of morality and ethics as part of the curriculum. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has more.
The Clean School competition is part of the Ministry of Education's larger effort to make schools a model of standards as the country deals with the waste management issues. In September, the Ministry of Environment debuted its No Plastics campaign, which aims to educate students and the public on overall effects of plastic waste. The Prime Minister said his administration's policies is aimed to make school a highly effective public service entity with good governance that is accountable for people and communities. The first phase of the government's Pentagon strategy focus on strengthening on quality of education, sports, science and technology, and improving the quality of education with a focus on K-12. The Prime Minister is also calling on moral education to be a core subject for exams. He said that students will be rated on a scale of 80% knowledge, 10% skills, and 10% on morality and ethics. Under the policy of partnership between the state and the community for education, the government wants to strengthen school governance, review and revise curricula and extracurricular activities, and improve students' health, knowledge, discipline, ethics, and attitudes. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Prime Minister Hun Manet gave a speech at the groundbreaking for the construction of a new dam in Koh Kong today. He used his time to discuss Cambodia's access to electricity, his feelings on being called a dictator, and harm reduction on the environment during Cambodia's rapid development. Plans for a hydropower project along the Mekong River have been discussed since 2007, but they have repeatedly been scrapped due to the potential effects such a project could have, especially on people's livelihoods and the endangered wildlife in the area. The Stung Treng stretch of the river is particularly precious, as it is home to the critically endangered Irrawaddy dolphin, which numbers under 100 individuals. The Prime Minister reassured the public that he will continue the policy of the previous administration by not building dams along the Mekong River. The government announced a 10-year ban on damming the Mekong's main stream in 2020. The Prime Minister also ordered the Ministry of Mines and Energy to suspend all projects for the construction of coal-fired power plants, in addition to shutting down existing coal-fired powered plants as soon as possible. He revealed that he had rejected plans to build a coal-fired power plant in Koh Kong province and had asked the company to build a natural gas power plant instead. He called the measures Cambodia's commitment to reducing global warming and climate change. The Prime Minister also echoed his father's platform of peace at any cost. However, he departed from his father's stance on the word dictator, which former Prime Minister Hun Sen vocally railed against whenever the word was used against him. Prime Minister Hun Manet said that he is willing to be painted as a dictator, if that's what it takes to protect the peace. Kristen Winters, EAC News. You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Prime Minister Hun Manet presided over the groundbreaking for construction on the Stung Tatai Dam in Koh Kong today, where he spoke about the nation's power needs and promised to protect the Mekong River in the process. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has more.
During his speech, the Prime Minister said that he had ordered the Ministry of Mines and Energy to connect the entire country to the electric grid by 2030. He said that 98% of Cambodia is currently connected to the grid, while 2% of the rural population still does not have access to electricity. The Prime Minister reminded the crowd that in 1998, Cambodia could only supply 150 megawatts of electricity to the people, while now Cambodia has the capacity to supply more than 4,000 megawatts throughout the country. He also called the Electric Authority to facilitate payment services in addition to providing more favourable and reduced electricity prices to the citizens. He confirmed that the government has set aside a budget of $100 million to ensure the price of electricity does not increase. He noted that the price is going up at countries around the world, but the government is willing to spend money to keep the cost of electricity low for Cambodia. He claimed that the government's purpose is to help the people with their struggles and to maintain the balance of development and economic stability for the country. He also highlighted the government's decision to reduce electric prices for the agricultural sector of the last few months and said he plans to further reduce the rates for tourism sector. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Former Prime Minister Hun Sen took to Telegram to announce that he will be supporting an impoverished student with disabled parents who scored an A on his high school diploma exam. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has the details.
While a majority of 73% of students that passed the exam received a D or an E, Orn Ponet was one of the only 2% of students who managed to score an A on his difficult diploma exam this month. Ponet truly overcome the odds as he lives in a poverty in Kampot province with his disabled parents. As a reward for his hard work, the former Prime Minister said that he will pay off Ponet's family's debt and support them with 1 million reals per month, equivalent to about $244. He also promised to have a small house constructed for the family and pledged to provide a motorcycle so that Ponet can attend his studies at the university in Phnom Penh when he enrolls. Minister of Interior, Saw Saka, also donated 2 million reals to the exceptional student, along with an additional motorcycle that will help his siblings. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Cambodia is celebrating 7 years of its treasured Chapay Dom Vang on the UNESCO Intangible Culture Heritage List this week, since being inscribed at a conference in Ethiopia on November 30th, 2016. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has more.
Today, Prime Minister Hun Manet posted on his social media celebrating the recognition of the musical tradition as an inviolable treasure of Cambodia's cultural history. According to UNESCO, Chapay Dom Vang is a Cambodian musical traditionally closely associated with the life, customs and beliefs of the Cambodian people. It features a 2 or 4 string lute called the Chapay, according by the singing that often tells stories and poems. The styles can range from educational to social commentary and satire, which requires the musical to have the wit, improvisation and storytelling skills. The tradition was nearly erased by the Khmer Rouge, but a few masters of the art still remain. In 2021, Cambodian hip-hop star Vanda featured Chapay master Kong Nay in his hit Time to Rise, with over 117 million views on YouTube alone. The song has brought Cambodia's cultural heritage across the globe to a new generation. Along with 3 temples inscribed as the heritage sites by UNESCO, Cambodia has 6 intangible culture items inscribed, including Khmer Shadow Theatre and the Royal Ballet. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. For the first time in 4 years, Phnom Penh put on a full celebration of the annual water festival, where dragon boats from each province race to gain glory for their hometowns. Prime Minister Hun Manet expressed his appreciation for the collaborative efforts that made the massive event possible. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has the story.
Millions of people descended on the capital city for the 3-day celebration that included boat races, floating lanterns, and boats decorated with lights at night. People also made offerings to the moon for the change in weather and a plentiful harvest. Prime Minister Hun Manet praised the organisation committee of the Phnom Penh City Hall and all the relevant ministries and institutions for the corporation organising a smooth, safe and joyous water festival for the first time in 4 years. The Prime Minister and the First Lady were among many to celebrate the festivities, along with King Norodom Sihamoni, who presided over the opening and closing of the boat races. The Prime Minister commended the racing committee and the athletes involved in the boat race for working hard to produce a race that adhered to the spirit of solidarity and mutual respect and made the event an overall success. He also thanked the ministries, institutions, and private companies for participating in the huge event. While millions of people attended the large water festival celebration in Phnom Penh, celebrations attracted domestic and foreign tourists across the country, giving hope to the revival of the Cambodian tourism. Government spokesperson Pen Bonner interpreted the festivities successful and a clear evidence that Prime Minister Hun Manet's leadership guarantees peace and social, political, and economic stability established by his father, former Prime Minister Hun Sen. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Today marks the one-year anniversary of the inclusion of Cambodia's Bogota martial arts style being inscribed on the UNESCO Intangible Heritage List for embodying the kingdom's social, cultural, and religious values. Its recognition as a vital part of Cambodian culture has led to a more prominent